Hello there, folks. My name is Spoonks, and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 is Cruella, which made $4.8 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $64 million, and its worldwide total to $160 million. So the film was able to cross the $60 million milestone domestically, which is impressive, and it's already like $40 million away from $200 million worldwide, as well as $40 million away from $100 million domestically. Don't think it's gonna cross $100 million, seeing how we're already in the dead middle of the summer and it's already at number 5, and the competition is approaching very quickly. But seeing how well it is doing internationally, I think it might have a chance of getting to 200 million worldwide. We might not see that happen on this show, but since it's already so close to that goal, I think it may get the chance. So maybe, just maybe, the film will be able to recuperate its $200 million. It, of course, needs to double that, which will not happen, but maybe it'll be able to make its initial budget back. And this is also not to discourage its domestic turnout either, because this is a very strong performance for this movie. At 60 million already alone is pretty impressive, especially during these times. And it is also one of 2 movies this weekend to fall just a little bit over 20% this weekend, which is really good as well. So Cruella still holding strong. Don't know for how much longer though, but for right now, it's doing good for what it is. Number 4 is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which made $5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $53 million and a worldwide total of $142 million. So while yes, it did drop another 50%, which is something you probably don't want to see, especially right now, and that definitely means it will not reach the same levels as Quiet Place Part 2 is doing. More on that later. This is still a pretty good performance. It is already just about $1 million behind Raya and the Last Dragon's $54 million total, and it's about $9 to $10 million behind Cruella's domestic total, so that's good. If anything, this movie's doing on par with Annabelle Comes Home, because while not a failure, it did fine. It opened around 20 million back in 2019 and ended with around a little over 70 million, which again could have done better, but not a failure. And like I said, this movie's doing fine. It could be doing better. Like I said, Quiet Place Part 2, for example. But for right now, fine is, well, fine. For the time being, of course. Number 3 is Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway, which made $6 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $20 million and a worldwide total of $90 million. So the film had a strong hold this weekend. It had a better hold than both The Croods and Tom and Jerry this weekend, and it just shows that the family films have a strong foot in the marketplace, with this movie doing very well this weekend. Add on to the fact that the film's already at 20 million domestic and just 10 million away from 100 million worldwide on a $45 million budget. I think it's safe to say that the film is a hit. I don't think it'll get near Raya or The Croods level of success, but I definitely see it getting close to Tom and Jerry, since they're both pretty much basically the same movie, just live action family films with CGI characters. I might even say that this movie might even surpass Tom and Jerry, because, this movie's actually good. Don't know how long it's going to stay in the top 5 with stiff competition on the horizon, especially this Friday being just around the corner. But for right now, I'd say this film has a couple more weeks with being in the top 5, and I definitely think that Peter Rabbit 2 is doing fine for itself. Number 2 is A Quiet Place Part 2, which made $9 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $124 million and its worldwide total to $222 million. This film continues to be the champion at the box office, being the other film mentioned earlier that fell a little over 20%, which is fantastic. And it has made well over its $61 million budget, so it's a certified box office success. The real question is how well it's going to do this weekend, because there's a certain movie, which we'll talk about at the end of the video, that is going to very, very stiff competition for this movie, and many are wondering if this will be the biggest hit this movie will take. I definitely think it's going to be a hit, but it's not going to be drastic. It's not going to be anything to get concerned over. Maybe a 50% drop at the most, but nothing like, oh my god, it's on its way out. But even if it does take a drastic hit, it wouldn't change the fact that this film is still a much needed success. I'm sure pretty much everyone is happy with how well this movie has turned out. I'm happy. I'm sure John Krasinski's happy. Paramount's happy. We're all happy, basically. And I hope that the film will be able to manage to keep the success train going for a couple more weeks, or maybe even longer, because this is definitely the success story we were hoping to see in terms of movies coming out post-pandemic. And finally, let's end the video off with the number one movie of the weekend, and that is The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which made 11.3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 16 million and a worldwide total of 23 million. So many of you are probably asking yourself, well, how did this movie add up to 16 million already? Well, it just came out. Well, if you recall, the film opened earlier. It got a jump on the weekend by opening on Wednesday, and it hosted two special early access showings last week on the 11th and the 12th, so that also helped get this movie to its initial total. And the film made about half of the original's $21 million opening weekend back in August 2017, which is great. And it also had a stronger opening than both Nobody and Wrath of Man, two other violent R-rated action films, which is good. But there are two key factors where I think this movie is going to falter. One is that the film has quite the price tag, as it cost a reported $50 million. That's less than the first one, but still. If it had opened to 23 million domestically, then I'd say it could have a chance of doubling it. But since it opened worldwide, I say it has a good chance of making its initial $50 million budget back. But doubling it, I just don't see that happening, especially with the reception it's got from many people, including myself, saying it's bad. I'm not sure if this movie's gonna have strong legs, and also trust me, that video will be coming out very soon. And the other factor is the aforementioned big movie hitting theaters this Friday, which, if you know, is also an action film and is a way more anticipated movie than Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. I think that movie is definitely going to steal this movie's main audience, and this movie's going to take a much bigger hit than a film like Peter Rabbit or Quiet Place Part 2, given the scope of its anticipation and how it's such a big blockbuster movie that I think Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is just going to get tossed to the side. But who knows? Maybe it might have a strong hold. Maybe it might overperform. Again, I did not expect this movie to do well, and it actually exceeded my expectations. So who knows? And for right now, it's a fine opening. It made about half of the original opening weekend, like I said. So this one's not too from the apple tree. So we'll see where this movie goes in the long run. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this week, but we're not quite done yet, as we got another week ahead of us and movies hitting theaters. And we've got one major one that we've briefly discussed throughout the video, and that is Fast and the Furious 9. Now, a lot is riding on this movie. The fact that it was the first movie to get pushed back to this year, and the fact that it's been long overdue, with fans anticipating this film since early February of last year. And even though internationally it's off to a strong start, which is the film is almost already at $300 million, things slowed down in China due to some controversy over there. And given how much of a surprise Quiet Place Part 2's opening weekend was, there are a lot of eyes staring down at this movie, but I think it's still going to be a breakout hit. I think, considering how long we've been waiting and how much Universal has been promoting this with the marketing and how much they've been hyping it up, like, this is gonna be the craziest Fast Furious movie out of all of them, which is saying a lot. I think this movie's gonna be another big hit for not only the summer but the year. But we will truly see how well this movie does when it hits theaters this Friday and on the next episode of Box Office Chat. And so that's going to do it for this episode of Box Office Chat. What did you guys think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like the channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, guys, stay sharp.